Hey there, everybody. What's up? It's Broman, and we are back.
Super bad.
I got a new toy, so I just gotta do all sorts of crazy with it. But I promise, that's all of the shenanigans you'll get. It's a pretty straightforward video. I wanted to run the raid a few times before I did this, but here's my review of the Scourge of the Past. The Scourge of the Past, if you don't know, is a new raid in Destiny. Came out with the release of oh, I didn't realize I'm running all sorts of crap. Came out with the launch of the season of the Forge, which is very nice. I've been enjoying it. It's part of the new season of content. This is a raid, not a raid layer. Bungie was pretty specific about that, and it definitely has the feel of a raid, which is, I know, probably everybody's first question. Like, hey, I know they said it, but like, does it feel that way? And here's why I say it feels like a raid. The set pieces are massive. It's very high intensity. It's got a real feel of Wrath of the Machine, where there's always something to do and there's always something to fight, or there's always something to run from, which I think is a big win. And then the final boss encounter is pretty new and unique. I love the final boss of this. Mech Warrior Prime is a fantastic encounter. It's challenging. It requires a little bit of coordination. It requires a little bit of forethought. And unlike the Last Wish, and I think that this is to this encounter's benefit, it isn't as complex communication-wise. You can actually set some pretty standard rules for the encounter, and as long as everyone's paying attention, you could almost do it without comms, which is something that I actually really loved about most of Destiny 1's raids. Crota, Wrath, and even Vogue were all kind of huggable without comms. And I think that's, in my opinion, it's always kind of been a good thing, because it just indicates a level of mastery that you can have over the content that allows you to sit back and actually kind of have fun with it. And yet there's always still going to be a place for, more high intensity raids that require a little bit more communication, a little bit more focus, a la, King's Fall and Last Wish. Those are encounters where you want to have a season's raid team, and you're going to have everybody communicating, and you're going to have a blast, but you're not really, you're going to have a blast. You might even feel like you're shitting on like you're crushing it and you're feeling great and you really feel that sense of mastery. But there's still the, pressure of making sure you do things right, or other things like that, where this raid feels really forgiving. And I think that's great. This is probably one of the best entry points for new people into raiding in Destiny that's been around for a long time. Wrath of the Machine was kind of, out of Destiny 1, it was sort of my preferred raid. Like, if you're going to show somebody what it was like, because it had a lot of really simple, easy to understand mechanics, but it was really fun, and it was visually really engaging to get into. And I have that same feeling about this raid, which I think is fantastic. I don't really have any gripes. If you've been watching my content for a long time, you know that I'm not really the guy that's going to be heavily critiqued because I'm easily pleased by pretty much anything, unless it's absolute dog crap, which is rare for most things. So I really like the final encounter. I think that's, it's fun, it's engaging. The introduction of the map reading mechanics, so you have to have, a wayfinder who's going to tell everybody where to go on the map, and then you have mobile objectives on side of this large intricate map is awesome. Also, the introduction of this area is just an incredible set piece, being right underneath the Shattered Traveler, having these giant buildings, these whether it's this, the giant ass Senate building looking thing, or the Schnell building over here. It really has a sense, like, the world building in this is amazing. It really has a sense of it is a place that has been lived in, and that things happened in. Oh, I can't go over there. And I think that's that's something that the Destiny universe has really been lacking. Like, this place has been abandoned, but there's, still cups on the table. People still have their wares set out. And we had some experiences like this in Destiny 2 at the beginning of the story. But to really revisit this, and it really has, I guess, more of an impact, with the Red War. Ships all around, things are crashed, and it's just got this whole, destroyed beauty sort of feel to it. And I just adore that as I whiff all my snipes. And I just really like worlds that feel lived in. And this is the first time in a while that the world in Destiny's really felt lived in. That people have been here. Sometimes it's really easy to forget in the Destiny universe. You've got to be kidding me. Okay, we're going to have to open that up. It's really easy to feel like in the Destiny universe that humans don't really exist. We have minimal interactions with Devrim K, and we have minimal interactions with Hawthorne. But, here you can see the world. You can see where people lived. You can see how many ramen shops there were, and, like how people are just living their lives here. And I think that as a set piece is absolutely incredible. The fact that this is the first raid where we have a buddy, and that we can bring our sparrows in here and we can do whatever we want. Every encounter, except for some jumping puzzle in the middle of the raid, you're able to summon your sparrow, which adds to the size and scope and feel of this whole area. The fact that you do the final battle with tanks, and the interplay between tanks and charging, and these rotating roll sets that have so much they have so much necessary they have such defined roles. I think that's the word I'm trying to say. Everybody's got something to do, and everybody's always moving, and I think that's also something to majorly credit this raid for, is that there's always movement in this raid. You're always moving. You're not standing still. There's not plates that you stand on, etc. Right? Everything has these visual elements that kind of draw you in. And I really liked the fact that unless you were a map reader, which was still a very mobile task, right? Like if you're over here, you haven't seen the encounter yet, and I know I'm not doing one because, that's me. If you're over here and you're doing this raid, you're in the encounter, the person who's reading the map's right here, fighting off enemies, trying to stay alive and call out things as they can. And it doesn't have the standing on a plate feel that, Destiny 1 and 2 have kind of been ridiculed for. Like, oh, you're just always standing on a plate. So I really liked that as well. The Sparrow chase sequence is fantastic. It's incredibly reminiscent of SRL. And it sort of inspires my hopes that maybe that content might continue in the future, because what would be more fun than having SRL return and getting to race through the city and some of the areas in the game that we've seen that really do feel like they've been designed to be Sparrow racing tracks would be a really awesome surprise. The first encounter here is great at teaching. The other thing I wanted to praise this raid about is that it does the best job of any of the raids that we've played, in my opinion, teaching you mechanics, slow and steady, and learning how to put them together. I thought that the introduction to the map mechanic was awesome, and the second you figured out, it was like you knew what you needed to do. You're like, oh, there's these indicators on the map. What do these mean? And the questions really led into the other answers. And the mystery of Last Word is fantastic, but it can be so incredibly intimidating to a player that's never done a raid before, or is just kind of looking for a more chill experience. So yeah, my overall feelings about the Scourge of the past, I loved it. I think it's a fantastic experience. It's a great thing to do with buds. It's got a nice chill, quick pacing. You can recover from mistakes, which I think is huge. It has some really interesting triumphs attached to it as well. That's going to encourage more high-level play if that's what you're interested in. But most importantly, I think that this raid does something that it continues to do something that Last Wish did that I was concerned that it would go away. And that is the world building and the set pieces inside of the raid still have this feel of an unimaginable scale. Like you really, truly are conquering something. You know, we are absolutely guardians in the city, you know, going through piles of garbage and shit, you know, piles of, ruins and digging through tunnels and breaking back into a vault and, you know, going to these depreciated areas of the city and really taking back or defending something that has a lot of value. And that feel, that sort of epic Tolkien level experience, I feel is still intact, although in an obviously different way. I am a huge fan of this raid. If you get the chance, jump into it. If you're the person who didn't do the Last Wish because you were like, I just don't want to, this raid's much more approachable from a learning standpoint. It's going to require you to do a lot less hardcore thinking and safe cracking and a lot more running and gunning, which is, you know, the two sides of Destiny's brain that I feel it's always fun. Let's go open up this Prime Engram and wrap it up. So that's how I feel about this raid. I encourage you to hop in if you can. It is an absolutely fun experience. Maybe you'll even be able to land yourself the Anarchy, which is one of the most fun exotics I've ever played with in the game. Being able to lay out trip mines in different setups and being able to chain them together and like follow a boss so that they're just continuously taking damage feels really good. The Anarchy grenade launcher is a blast. So that is my review for Scourge of the Past. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will catch you next time. Peace.